Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from the Black Business School and the Black Wealth Boot Camp. Um, I want to go into something real quick that I hope is helpful to you. If you have kids, kids, those little things that sometimes come out when you have sex. A lot of times it's so funny. I talk to my daughters all the time about. We have very open conversations about love and sex and men and relationships, and the reason I tried my best to be open is because number one, girls need to hear information about men from their fathers. A lot of young girls just have no idea how horny these young guys are and how they can be, and how they will tell you any old kind of lie to get you in the bedroom. And next thing you know, you wake up and it's like coming out of a drunken, a drinking binge or something where you don't even realize how this happened. And next thing you know, you're pregnant and the daddy is gone getting somebody else pregnant. Not in all cases, but we see this happen a lot. And I don't understand how it happens. I could just say that love and Mother Nature are probably two of the most powerful forces in the universe, and they're two things that we probably cannot outsmart. So as long as there are sex organs, there will be sex, and as long as there's sex, there will be children. Now, here's something I want to talk to you about that really comes into play on this. One of the things I always tell people in the Black Business School is, I let them know that look, your children and your family, that is your first small business. If you don't handle that business right, if you don't handle your business right, if you end up in a sloppy kind of situation, it will have huge ramifications on your ability to build wealth, on your ability to start a business, on your ability to accumulate assets over time throughout the course of your life. Um, it can go a long way to really harming your ability to do anything. It's almost like if you start one family, if you got four babies, mamas, and six kids, it's hard for you to get married and just start having kids and have a nice, clean little slate. Again, you can't do that. You got these other responsibilities, and all these other responsibilities are going to drain your resources. It costs about $250,000 to raise a child in America. So every time you have a child, you are making an 18-year contractual commitment, at least 18 years, and you're committing to paying at least $250,000. Now imagine if there was a car that you could buy where it's an 18-year lease and you had to pay $250,000, or a graduate school program you could join that was 18 years long and cost $250,000. I bet you anything I couldn't get a whole bunch of people to sign up for that. Now I can't even get. So, sometimes it's hard to get some black folks to even sign up for a $80 a month class at the Black Business School, let alone something that's $250,000 over 18 years. But that's what you do when you have a child, and you have a child at the wrong time or with the wrong person or in the wrong situation. It's just you get tricked into it. It's like somebody getting you drunk and getting you to sign a contract while you're drunk. Um, let's go through some data here so I can talk to you about what I saw that really disturbed me, that got my attention. According to Forbes magazine, who cites a study by the Economic Policy Institute, we've now reached the point in this country where childcare costs more than rent. Childcare costs more than in-state tuition at most major universities. Childcare has gotten so expensive that working class people cannot afford it. Now, if you want my opinion as a financial expert, I taught finance students for 20 years, you know that. I really think that we are creating an economy that is obliterating the middle class. Working class people are getting slaughtered in this economy. The greedy Republicans have their agenda on lock. They've convinced a lot of working class people to support that help the rich. And it's only going to get worse because greed in a capitalist society is not considered to be a bad thing, which is a little unfortunate because I think greed is a very bad thing. But unfortunately, there are people who disagree with me. Now, let's talk about that a little bit. According to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, your child care expense is only supposed to be 10% or less of your total family budget. But we've gotten to the point where it now encompasses more than a third of the budget of many families, and sometimes as much as a half. And what's interesting to me as well is that while childcare has exceeded rent in economic value or economic cost, rent has gone up. I just cited another study not too long ago that said that the average American, or half of all Americans, cannot even afford to pay their rent. The average rent in America is now $1,372 per month. And most people can't afford that. Half of all Americans can't afford that. Once again, it's all linked to policy. We have politicians that have pushed forward policies that have pushed out workers, pushed out the middle class, and they're selling you stuff that's overpriced, stuff you can't afford. They're not giving you jobs and wages that will match the income level you need to pay for these things, and they're pushing you deeper in debt. I think that's one of the reasons why they do not want high school kids in America to learn standard financial literacy, because you'll learn not to buy these things. Now, if your child signed up for the Millionaires of Tomorrow program and things like that, your child's going to be ahead of the curve. That's why I created that, because I said I don't know what's going to happen with America. I can't control that. You will never hear about President Boyce Watkins in the White House. That ain't going to happen. White folks would not vote for me. But in my community, I want our people, or as many of our children, to be as prepared as possible for this future, so that they don't get beat down like the rest of the American middle and working class. This is only going to continue to get worse. Based on what I'm seeing, the trajectory is not a good one. It would take something of monumental proportions to shift the direction of this country. And Americans, really, we're not built for revolution and stuff like that. So I really don't see a revolution really happening in this country. I just don't see it. Let me look at some other stats I got here. According to Bloomberg, childcare has gone up 168% in the last how many years? I want to say the last 2 or 3 years. Let me see. Let me make sure I say this right so I don't give you the incorrect data. You know what? I cannot find the Bloomberg stat, but I did see. Here we go. Bloomberg reports that the costs of both childcare and nursery school have risen 168% over the last 25 years. Okay. So that's 25 years old, so that's a long time, but still, it's still a lot of money. The average cost of childcare is about $18,000 a year. This is the dynamic you're living in. This is what you're looking at. Now, we can hope and pray that politicians eventually come to their senses and kill all of this. Maybe the next black president will do something about it, or maybe we'll get black congressmen and congresswomen who are not scared of their own shadow. I doubt if that's going to happen. You might get another black president, but chances are that black president isn't going to change your life. The black president of your life is you. You are the hope and change that will exist in your family. The hope and change comes not from voting for the right politician. The hope and change in your life will come by decisions in your own household. When it comes to how you and your family navigate this political storm, it's just like if it's raining outside and you stand outside, you're going to get wet. But if you're smart, you'll get an umbrella. You'll go inside. Maybe you'll move to a different city so that where it's not raining. You'll adjust to the environment. So what I will say to you is this. A couple of things. Number one, when you talk to your kids and talk to yourself, be really careful about this shit about single, people just having kids and I don't need no man, or I'm not taking care of my kids, or kids growing up in these households without both parents contributing financially. This is not an ethical or a moral conversation. We can stick to just the economic dimension of this. The median net worth of a black woman in America, a single black woman in America, is $5. Compared to white women, which I think is like between 50 and 100,000. I can't remember the number exactly. It's very, very high. It's not $5. So where does that come from? It comes from the economic struggle in our families when our families are not a cohesive unit somehow. So when you have children, understand having a child is like starting a small business, and you don't want to fund a small business without getting any help. You don't want to build a business without adequate partners, or you're going to end up doing all the work. I'm not beating up on anybody who decides to have a child on their own. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying understand what you're getting into when you decide to let that dude up in your house. When you decide to lay down with that woman, understand that there could be a huge financial responsibility that comes from that experience. That's what I tell my girls. Again, you'll never stop people from having sex, but at least you can't say I didn't tell you. Here's the second thing. Besides family construction and stuff like that, here's another dimension of this that I really think you should consider. I am a big advocate of two things for black children. Number one, black children need to learn how to have their own businesses at some point. Every black child should know that having a boss is optional. Every black child in America should own something at some point. If you want your child to own something by Christmas, go buy them a share of stock at Ameritrade.com. That's where I trade my stock. I'm not endorsing a marriage rate. I'm just saying that's what I use. Next, number two, here's the second thing I believe. Every black child in America should be educated in their home. It doesn't mean they should be homeschooled per se, but it means that you as the parent are responsible for the education of your child. One option you may want to really consider, if you can make it work, is homeschooling. A lot of parents, scores of parents across the country, are now taking their children out of the educational system, which is corroding their spirits and destroying their futures, and educating them in their house. It's working for people who do it, and really the best part about it is that you're lacing your education with a layer of love. Now, we know why homeschooling can improve your child's well-being for reasons that relate to the emotional, right? Children are around their parents more, so they're going to tend to be better behaved and better controlled. Children get a better education. We know all those things, but here's another dimension of this. Nomalanga Mushali Moses, the founder of HealthyBlackWoman.com, she left the university plantation like I did. She was going through racism in her job like I was. And Nomalanga and I are not lazy or dumb people. We're very qualified, but white folks they will mistreat you no matter what level you're on. You see that kind of racism, and that's what we dealt with. Now Nomalanga is very, very accomplished. She also happened to be the 2012 Mrs. Botswana. She's very, very smart, but she was sick of the crap. So what she did was she homeschools her kids now. She didn't know how to do it. She studied, she learned, she read books, she watched videos and learned how to do it. She brought her kids home because they were having trouble with school. They were getting these reports from the teachers that didn't make any sense. And so she said, I'm going to homeschool my kids. Now here's where the dynamic works out in your favor. If you choose to try to homeschool your children, the dynamic works in your favor because, number one, you get the parental benefits of spending more time with your kids, which parenting should actually be the most important job that we do. We've been convinced by corporations that these professional titles matter more than our kids, but that's nonsense. The most important thing you'll ever do for your family is to be a parent. That's the most important job in the universe, period. If parents stop doing their job, the whole world will fall apart. Number two, her children got to get a better education because their mother is right there making sure they're learning everything they need to know. That's the second thing. Number three, they save a ton of money. She said that the reason that she decided to homeschool her kids is because she was spending so much money on daycare that it was eating her entire paycheck. So she said, why am I going to work for 40 hours a week just so I can give all the money back to the daycare center? So now that her kids are homeschooled, she doesn't get the paycheck, but she also gets the cost savings. What else? She's at home now, which is just a better life in general. When you're not spending, think about this, you spend 8 to 10 hours a day with a corporation. That's the only thing that you do for that long without any interruption. That's the only thing you do with that much of a focused mindset in your life. There's nothing else that you do for 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, maybe 6 for some people. There's nothing else you do for that long except serve the corporation. Imagine when that time is freed up. You get to literally extend the length of your life by about 40 to 60% longer because instead of spending those 10 hours serving, you get to spend those 10 hours living. You can also start a business. That's another thing she did. She started a business. So the drop in income that came from quitting the job was replaced by higher income that came from running her own business, as well as higher life satisfaction, greater satisfaction as a parent. Children are happier. It is a more cohesive, normal, productive family unit. So I'm not telling you what to do, except I'm recommending to you that you think outside the box when you structure your life. Remember that your life and your family, that's your first small business. And if you don't run that small business right, it's going to be hard for you to start anything else after that. It's hard to start a business when the first business ain't going right. That's why I tell people, be careful about who you choose to marry, who you choose to let into your life, because if you got all that drama going on, it's going to be emotionally draining, financially draining in terms of time, and you're not going to be able to do anything else because you're going to spend all your energy sucked into this situation that's literally just zapping every ounce of your spirit to the point where there's nothing left. So manage that small business and manage it by thinking outside the box. Don't let corporations shape the model that you think you're supposed to live by. The model is You have a couple kids, maybe you got another co-parent, maybe you don't, and then you just go to work for the corporation for X number of hours a day, giving away big chunks of your life in exchange for just enough money for you to not be able to pay the rent and not be able to afford childcare and to be stressed out enough to have strokes, heart attacks, diabetes, and high blood pressure at a very early age. That's the model for most Americans, but that's really the model for black people because, as you know, we don't get to climb the corporate ladder. We're at the bottom of the corporate ladder. Why? Because we don't know how to build a corporate ladder. You got to build your own corporate ladder if you want to be able to climb it. Don't borrow your power all your life. Build your own power. You can do it. So that's it. If you want to take Noma Langa's homeschooling class, the price is less than about 2 days of daycare, and I'm not kidding. I think it's 30 or 40, $50. So something like that per month. And she guides you through the whole process. She mentors you. You can sign up for it. I think the URL is theblackhomeschoolguide.com, theblackhomeschoolguide.com. So yeah, I'm mentioning the class to you as something you can buy if you want to buy it. If you don't worry about it. But the price is very low, and I really can tell you that when you get a chance to work from home and you get a chance to spend more time with your kids, you generally, in 99% of the circumstances, are just a happier person. So find another way to structure your life. Don't just go for the okie doke. Don't just do what the corporations tell you, because the corporations and the politicians have their own agenda. Their agenda is to pull you away from your family, put you on the corporate plantation, and get you to work until they work you to death. That is what they're trying to do. They're trying to work you to death. And that's pretty much why I left that crap. So anyway, that's it. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School. Please take care. God bless and have a wonderful day. I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.